Bandwidth for This Week in Photography is brought to you by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com. Okay, a couple years back, one of the things that caught all of our imagination was super high-speed imagery coming out of little cameras. Now, a lot of us, when working in film, we're kind of used to 240 frames per second, 320. You can do a lot of this stuff where you're doing kind of slow motion for special effects. This is a consumer camera that was able to do this. And so this was a couple years ago we saw it, and it was kind of in this form factor, and it was a Casio, shooting up to 1,000 frames per second. Now, a lot of this is becoming less expensive and a lot smaller. Check this out. So what you have here is this is the FH100, the EX FH100, and this has got, it's got the standard stuff. It's got a 10x lens, and it shoots, groups of photos the way the Casio shoots them. But of course, the thing that really gets me interested in it, of course, is the high speed. If we're doing some kind of geeky, for the geek in me, I just want to have, high speed, 1,000 frames a second. Now, the 1,000 frames a second is really small. It's actually really, really high and really, really wide. And the reason for that is the way they scan the chip. They're just trying to cheat and get as much as they can off the chip, and that's why a lot of the imagery gets a lot smaller as you make it a lot faster. One of the cool things, though, is that now you can do up to 120 frames a second at 640 by 480, and just a little less than that when you want to go to 240 frames a second, which is, a resolution that's big enough to have a lot of fun with. So the thing is that this is really kind of a geek camera in my opinion. It does all the other stuff that you want to do if all you want is a camera, but it adds a lot more to it. And instead of being the $1,000 that it was when it first came out, this is only $399. So it's a great camera. It's a 10 megapixel camera. It's a great pocket camera. That's what I'm looking at for. But it also adds that one little extra. And it's something that I think we're going to see in a lot more cameras. It's actually one of the things that I think we're going to see as a trend. A trend of these cameras starting to add high speed. A lot of them are using very similar chips or the same chip in the camera, but only Casio is really taking full advantage of it. And the reason that they're taking full advantage of it, or how they're doing that, is with two CPUs. So they've got one reading off of one reading off the chip, and another one, saving it away. And so it's pulling it out and saving it away. And by adding that extra CPU, they're able to stretch a lot more of what's coming out of this camera. Now I'm going to show you one more while we're here at Casio that I thought was pretty cool. So what we have here, this is the EXG1. And this is another trend that I think is going to be important that we're going to see more and more of, and I think this is actually one of the best versions of that trend. And this is kind of your resistant. You can drop this thing 7 feet. You can have it out in the cold down to about 14 degrees, and you can also take it underwater up to 10 feet. So the thing is that you have this is really the kind of the all-purpose camera that you can take out into the elements. Take it underwater, do all those things with it that you normally are constantly worried about with your camera. I mean, I'm not even worried about taking it underwater. I just want to be able to take it out in the rain. I don't want to have to worry about that. I want to be able to take it out in the snow, that type of thing. And so this is a great little camera. It does do video, as the other one does as well. I mean, almost all these cameras now do video, but it does video. It has a little YouTube capture mode, so it's already pre-compressed, ready to go, and it's just what I like about it is a lot of these hardened cameras really don't look that good, and I really think this one looks pretty gnarly. And so anyway, I think that I like the look of it. I trust Casio to make a pretty good camera, and I think that it has a lot of the features. By the way, it has one thing that almost none of the other cameras out here have, which is some kind of interval shooting. Now, of course, it's very limited interval shooting or time-lapse shooting, but it is in there, kind of. We're hoping to see them actually upgrade that firmware sometime in the fall. We're asking for it because, it's insane that these little cameras don't have time-lapse functions, and you'll see me probably talk about that a little more often, but it just doesn't, there's no reason. It's just a piece of software. So, but anyway, over my little rave, it's a great little camera, and once again, this is the EX-G1.
Very nice.
Okay, we're here at Samsung, and there's a couple things that I wanted to show. One is something that's really specific to Samsung, and another one's another trend that I wanted to talk about. So, first of all, this is new. This is the NX10, and we've seen these little cameras, these little bodies in the past. So one of the ones we were just looking at was over at Panasonic. We were looking at the 4/3. Now, this is similar in that it doesn't have a mirror, but the one thing that they've added to it is having an APS sensor. So you have a much larger sensor, probably twice the area or more of the the 4/3 sensor. And what that means is better light sensitivity at the same resolution or more resolution. So what you have here, this is a 14 megapixel camera, and it is, again, the mirror, taking the mirror out allows the camera to be a lot smaller. So we see a lot of these. I mean, when you're buying like a Rebel or or if you have a 20D or a 40D or whatever it is, part of the reason it's so big is because of that mirror, and it's not here anymore, and it's a lot smaller. And so a little bit easier when you're thinking about packing. It's going to be smaller. The lenses are going to be smaller. So it's just a slightly more miniaturized unit, but still getting what you're used to with an APS-style sensor. Now, another thing that is a trend that I wanted to show you, and this is happening. This is one camera that does it. There's a lot of cameras that do it, and we'd like to see a lot more. And this is the GPS unit. So what this camera does, this is the HZ35W, and what this has is a GPS sensor in it. What that means is that when you're taking photos, and we saw this, last year. There's been a handful of cameras started coming out. Now it's starting to show up everywhere, which is that you've got a GPS unit in here. It's attaching the GPS information to the EXIF data. So you're actually able to get the information of exactly where you were and exactly when you're shooting it. And that's really the easiest, the best way to do it. And one of the things that leaves me torn, I was talking about the Casio over there, but talking about the Casio, the high-speed camera. One of the things I'm torn about is that I really have a hard time thinking about buying a camera without GPS in it. And so I'm pretty excited about this little camera. Now there's one more thing I want to show you over here. Okay, so we jump to the other side of the booth, and one more thing I want to show you that Samsung's doing, and once again other companies are doing, is a Wi-Fi connection. So they're starting to build them into the camera. Now, you know that I love my Wi-Fi, and I attach it, and I like putting it into the cameras, but it is an SD card, and I have broken one, and so having it just built into the camera is a pretty nice feature. Now, I'm not necessarily going to get this camera tomorrow, but I think that this technology that Samsung is starting to apply to their cameras, I'm hoping we're going to see in a lot of other cameras. I think it is a great feature, and for those of you who really just want to be connected, who don't want to worry about what card you have, don't want to buy another expensive card, this might be the solution for you.